Thank you, Rita. Hello and welcome to Look North. Coming up on the show tonight, a fall in childhood vaccination rates in Yorkshire. Parents are urged to get children caught up on their routine jabs.
Last year, for example, there was a reduction in the flu vaccination uptake, and as a result of that, GP consultations increased. As a result of that, hospital admissions increased, ICU admissions increased.
We're talking to an expert about what might be behind those falling rates. Also coming up tonight, a mental health charity in Leeds prepares to close, with a warning some who depend on it have nowhere to go. The late Rob Burrow is remembered with a named train unveiled in his former hometown of Castleford. And it's a happy 50th birthday to the National Railway Museum, and it reopens one of its main halls in celebration.
And after that beautiful sunny morning, it was disappointingly cloudy this afternoon. But what about the weekend? Join me for that all-important forecast coming up shortly.
Hello there, thanks for your company. We've made it to Friday. Let's round up the week together. We'll start with vaccines. Yorkshire has had some of its steepest drops in childhood vaccination rates in the country. That is prompting public health officials to urge families to catch up on routine jabs and issue warnings about the spreading of misinformation. Now, NHS data shows the proportion of 2-year-olds in the region who have received their first dose of the measles, mumps and rubella vaccine fell from 92.6% in 2019-20 to 89.9% in 2024-25. But the World Health Organization has warned that coverage in a population needs to reach 95% to prevent outbreaks of the viruses and also protect people who are vulnerable. Now, in our region, vaccination rates in toddlers has dropped the most in Bradford, and it's down to 85.6%. Our political reporter Aisha Iqbal has been looking at efforts to drive up the numbers.
Tears and cuddles at a pop-up vaccine clinic in Keighley as babies are brought in for their routine jabs. But outside these walls, political and social media chatter around vaccine safety is having an impact on how many children are immunised. Both families and medics here say that further fuels hesitancy.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of negativity out there that sort of tries to sway you into thinking that it's bad and that you shouldn't vaccine your child. But I do think it's important, really, to get it done and keep them protected, really.
I don't understand why they don't want to do it, because it's something, it's just in their minds, innit, or it's something that'll affect their kids, or that it's basically will save their kids. Yeah, this is what it'll do eventually. So I'll just encourage everyone to come and have their kids' injections and have a safe life for them and for the community as well.
Staff here have pushed uptake levels from as low as 40% in some groups to the 90s by taking both vaccines and vaccine education directly into communities. But NHS data shows vaccination rates are still slipping in Yorkshire.
Well, we know last year, for example, there was a reduction in the flu vaccination uptake, and as a result of that, GP consultations increased. As a result of that, hospital admissions increased, ICU admissions increased, and all deaths from the flu influenza virus also increased. So it's just putting more pressure on the NHS.
Any politician, as far as I'm concerned, who promotes ideas that vaccinations don't work is actually putting the public at risk and should think very carefully before they spread that sort of conversation. And it's regrettable. And the Bradford Council certainly, under my leadership here for the time being, strongly oppose the spread of misinformation.
5 years after COVID, the fight to protect public health and dispel the myths remains an uphill battle. And health officials say it's not just public trust at risk, it's children's lives. Aisha Iqbal, BBC Look North, Keighley.
Well, earlier I spoke to Dr Helen Stewart, a consultant at Sheffield Children's Hospital and the Officer of Health Improvement at the Royal College of Paediatrics and Child Health. I asked her what impact a decline in vaccination rates can have on society.
Well, it can have quite a significant impact. Obviously, there's the impact of the unvaccinated person. we've seen quite a lot of very unwell children in the past couple of years with conditions such as measles or whooping cough, and they've become very unwell, been admitted to intensive care. So there's that immediate impact, but then they're also more likely to pass that infection on to other people, other unvaccinated people, or there are people in society who for health reasons can't be vaccinated. And so we do rely on everyone who can be vaccinated getting those vaccinations to protect everyone.
There have been a number of studies about why parents might choose not to have their children vaccinated. What are those findings in those studies? What are the main reasons people give?
Well, there's a variety of reasons, and often it's actually not a choice. We know that actually if everyone who is willing to vaccinate did vaccinate their children, then that would actually probably take us near to the 95% target. There's actually a lot of systemic reasons why people are unable to vaccinate their children. One of the things that came out of the work we've done at the Royal College of Paediatrics was people feel that they don't have a close relationship with a trusted healthcare professional. Primary care nurses, GPs, they're all incredibly busy, and it can be quite hard to see the same person each time. And health visitors are also really overstretched, and families don't always feel they can build that relationship so that they can ask questions to someone that they trust. So there's a number of things really that people feel are barriers to them getting their children vaccinated.
Would it help for clinics to be out and about more, to be mobile to places, I don't know, like public libraries, things like that?
I think there's definitely room to explore whether there's more convenient locations. Some people find that if vaccination hubs have been moved from their GP practice, they can be quite hard to access. And people who maybe can't that easily get a day off work, it can be quite challenging sometimes to just access the system.
What do you think the impact of recent political interventions into the vaccine conversation have been on vaccination rates?
I think that it's really important that all politicians recommend vaccinations. I think if people see people in the public eye, people that they trust, raising doubts that are not based in science, it can cause doubts, it can cause people to rethink and second guess. And again, if they don't have someone else that they can talk to about it, then that might cause someone to not get vaccinated. So I do think it's really important that politicians are supportive of the vaccinations and follow the science.
Helen, thank you very much for your time on Look North tonight.
No worries, thank you.
Next tonight, we shall stay with health because a mental health charity in Leeds is warning that some young people will be left with nowhere to go when it closes for good tomorrow. The marketplace has been supporting 11 to 25-year-olds for the last 36 years, but lost its NHS funding last year and says it can no longer carry on. The West Yorkshire Integrated Care Board says there is still a comprehensive range of services available in the city, but the charity says there will be a service gap, especially with the loss of free, community-based, face-to-face counselling. Our health correspondent Jamie Coulson has this.
At the Marketplace mental health charity in Leeds, they're preparing to close the doors for the final time after supporting young people in the city for 36 years. The service lost its NHS contract to another provider last year and has been unable to carry on. Isabel Baker is the counselling manager and says the closure of the charity will create a worrying gap in support, as it means the loss of their free, community-based, face-to-face counselling services.
Worst case scenario, based on young people having over many years told us that the service here has saved their life, we really hope that we're not looking at some significant increases in young people harming themselves in quite serious ways.
Do you think it's that serious?
There's definitely the potential for that, unless something in the city changes.
Good.
10 May received help from the charity last year with 3 months of counselling for trauma. He's among the tens of thousands of 11 to 25-year-olds that have been supported by the charity over its lifetime.
Although it may seem like those 12 sessions were only so little, it made a very long-term impact, and even just that support available for me, free and for that long, was enough to change my life.
The West Yorkshire Integrated Care Board, or ICB, says it provides a comprehensive range of services, including early intervention, counselling and crisis support. It says these are actively promoted and available through schools, community organisations, NHS bodies, helplines and digital platforms.
I'm really concerned about how this service is closing.
But Lisa Mulheron, the chief executive of the marketplace, believes some young people will still be without the support they need.
Genuinely think there's going to be nowhere for them to go, basically. That's the worry, is that the low level support is there, the low intensity support, and then there's a higher level, which there's a gap in between. What we offered was a comprehensive service that was accessible to all, and it was free.
The ICB says it regularly reviews its services to make sure they meet the needs of young people, families and carers. The marketplace closes for good on Saturday. Jamie Coulson, BBC Look North.
Thank you, Jamie. You're watching Friday's Look North. Still out on tonight's show, we meet the future players inspired by the Women's Rugby World Cup. Now, a train named after the rugby league legend Rob Burrow has been unveiled at Castleford Railway Station today. Of course, it would have been his 43rd birthday this afternoon. The specially decorated locomotive arrived watched by Rob's widow Lindsay and other members of the Burrow family. It's hoped the artwork will inspire passengers and raise the profile of M&D charities.
Just feel incredibly special, I think, to have this in Rob's honour, for the children to be here, for so many people to be here supporting the M&D community is really special. This train will travel far and wide, so it continues Rob's legacy. I think, it's just incredibly special.
When people see the train, they will hopefully smile if they're feeling sad. If they're thinking about doing something, trying out for a new job, joining a sports club, taking that course they've always wanted to, then we're hoping that seeing that train and Rob Burrow's image on the side would really inspire them to do that.
Staff working in hospital operating theatres in Leeds are to be balloted for strike action as part of a dispute over pay. The city's Hospitals Trust is moving some staff from one pay band to another. The union Unison said members being moved to a higher pay band had been offered less backdated pay than other staff who had made similar moves. The Trust said it hoped to resolve the dispute as soon as possible. Now, car parks in York have been targeted again by fake QR code parking scammers. Over the summer, fake QR codes were put onto signage and ticket machines at several city centre car parks. They direct users to a counterfeit website designed to resemble the real pay-by-phone platform, and then victims are asked to enter card details which scammers use to steal money. The City Council's anti-fraud team says people have lost up to £400 as a result. Let's get to the sport now. Sally, it's all about the rugby at the minute, isn't it?
It is, yes, it is. Yes, tomorrow afternoon, England will face Canada in the final of the Women's Rugby World Cup. And Yorkshire are well represented on the team. They'll be led out by captain Zoe Aldcroft from Scarborough. Back row Morwenna Talling is from York, while centre Tatiana Hurd started playing in Malton. And the World Player of the Year, Ellie Kildun, is from Keighley, where her family still live. Last night, we went along to her old club to talk to some of the girls following in her footsteps. At Keighley Rugby Club, these girls are getting to grips with a game that brings them ruckloads of joy.
Well, I started last September and I just love it because it's really fun and it gets lots of people together and playing.
It's not scary. I always used to be petrified of it, but there's a position for literally everyone. Like wingers, they can be quick, they can be small. Scrum halves are definitely a lot smaller than props. Like, it's for everyone.
This is a club where a 6-year-old Ellie Kildun turned up to play alongside the boys.
She was probably a little bit as you see her now. A live wire on the pitch, but very polite, very humble, very grounded. Ellie was always the person who finished the move. She was the one who scored the tries. She was the one who wanted the ball. She just ran round people, ran rings around them, scored the tries, but equally made the tackles as well. She was fearless.
That fearlessness and turn of speed was evident last Saturday when Ellie helped the Red Roses to a semi-final victory over France. But despite her global success, she's World Player of the Year. She remains down to earth.
I'm just loving what I do. I'm loving the girls around me. I'm loving the environment. I'm loving everyone in the stadium. So of course I'm going to be smiling. There's not much I can complain about playing in front of 50,000 people today.
Ellie's already inspiring these girls to play, but at grassroots level, many teams need more to fill their rosters.
At the moment, Keighley doesn't have enough girls playing to make up teams for all its age groups. So they train together as a cluster with 5 other teams from surrounding towns. They're hoping now for a bit of a Red Roses effect to encourage more girls to come and join in the fun.
Oh yeah, without a doubt, we're hoping that will get more girls interested in what's going on, realise it's a sport for them and want to come down and train with us and then play and grow the numbers. The ultimate aim is to get enough girls within each of the age groups to sustain a full team and to do that long term.
Tomorrow, the clubhouse will be full with supporters ready to cheer on England as the 2 highest-ranked teams in women's rugby union chase the sport's biggest prize.
I can't tell you how proud I am and the rest of the club here. It's just, one hand you see the Ellie we've always known, on the other hand it's this exceptional talent reaching her full potential and being a real advocate for not just women's rugby but women's sport. It's incredible to think she's got so far.
Good luck to the Roses. Now switching codes, and in Super League this year's playoff series begins tonight with an eliminator between the Lee Leopards and Wakefield Trinity. Wakefield have gone from strength to strength on their return to Super League, finishing 6th in the table and taking the last spot in the playoffs, the first time they've qualified since 2012. They're now just 2 games away from the grand final.
You want to be leading up to Old Trafford and giving yourself a chance to play at Old Trafford. Because the weeks leading up to it, they're special, you know, and then when you come out to the game like this Friday, I'm sure the atmosphere at Lee will be really special.
Just 24 hours later, Leeds Rhinos take on St Helens at Headingley in their eliminator, plus York play Halifax and Bradford face Toulouse in the Championship playoff semi-finals. But today, we have a new world champion cyclist from Yorkshire, 18-year-old Harry Hudson from Harrogate. This morning, he won the junior road race at the UCI Road World Championships in Rwanda, beating his nearest opponent to the line by an incredible 16 seconds. Hudson, who currently races for Harrogate Nova, has now signed with Little Trek Future Racing from next year. And Harry is the first British male to ever win the World Junior Road Race, but not the first female. Great Britain's women have won that 7 times, including most recently Skipton's Kat Ferguson in 2024.
We know what we're doing with cycling in this part of the world, don't we?
We're very
Some
strong.
of us do anyway, some of us don't, clearly not. Thank you very much, Sal. Good luck to the Red Roses. 4 players in the starting lineup. It's incredible, isn't it? Great stuff. Now, some news from our colleagues at Radio Sheffield, because they held their Make a Difference Awards ceremony this afternoon. More than 100 people were at the New York Stadium in Rotherham, including the Rotherham Youth Choir. There they are. Judges whittled down 400 entries to 8 award winners, including Nicola Woodhouse from Bentley, who won the Volunteer Award despite having a cancer relapse and surgery to remove her eye.
I've not had the easiest cards, but the only way I found to get through my difficult chapters is to keep going and to give a little bit of good with the time that I've got, and just remind myself that for all of the badness that I'm feeling, there's good out there if you look hard enough.
Congratulations to all the award winners across all the local radio stations making a difference. Finally tonight, I'm calling it. Friday night is now Railway Night here on Look North. It is a big weekend for Britain's railways because they are 200 years old. Among the celebrations, our very own National Railway Museum in York is reopening one of its major display halls after a huge refurbishment, and it's marking its 50th birthday too. In a moment, we'll be heading there with Olivia, but first, here's a sneak peek back at half a century's worth of stories. 50 with a bullet, and a rocket, and a mallard, and, well, you get the point. Big names have visited since 1975. Not all of them had wheels. There have been sparks, fire, steam by the absolute boilerful, but most of all, people. Millions of us have visited. You were working in this part of the world when they first announced the museum?
I was here at the pre-launch press conference.
Alan Whitehouse, formerly of Look North, who once even took a sabbatical to work at the museum, has had a few turns around this table in his time.
There were powerful voices who were determined that the museum, the National Railway Museum, should go to London.
Fortunately, the North won out, and the rest is a cathedral-like building that reverberates to happy voices.
Railways are interwoven into our history. They've played an absolutely crucial role in making Britain what it is today. And the museum really reflects that because not only does it have stuff from the very earliest days of railways, but you don't have to walk very far down there before you can find a locomotive or two. I've found 4 so far, that when this place opened, they were still out there on the tracks actually earning a living, hauling people and freight around. And they found their way in here as part of that continuing developing story that the museum, it seems to me, is telling so well.
Perhaps the only grit in the oil, this particularly famous locomotive. The campaign to save Scotsmen for the nation was a triumph. The fact it reached its centenary in steam, incredible. But the restoration which took it there was protracted and very expensive.
Of course, once they got it out on the main line, all those memories are swept aside, aren't they? You know, people can see the engine again. They can go and stand at the trackside and watch it go screaming past. They can ride behind it.
It has been a golden 50 years. Some personal stories, some giant shows, and a mission that, just like the railways, never stands still. Say, me and Alan had a right old anorak that afternoon. It was fantastic. Now, today the museum's Station Hall building reopened after a £10 million refurbishment, just in time for the Railway 200 celebrations and the NRM's 50th. Olivia was one of the very first people through the doors, lucky girl.
You only hit half a century once, and here at the National Railway Museum they're having a 3-day-long birthday celebration. Now, when you reach 50, some might say a makeover is needed, and that's exactly what they've had here, £11 million of work. So why not roll out the red carpet to celebrate? I was here this morning as the front doors were opened.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the wonderful world of the railways on this historic day.
It's nice to be popular on your birthday, and the crowd this morning did not disappoint. Today, the newly renovated Station Hall part of the museum was open to visitors for the first time in 2 years. So, what's changed?
When we had Station Hall before the closure, passengers, workers, sort of the key stories, I suppose, of the railway past were kind of missing from our interpretation and our objects. So we have done our best to put the passenger back in, re-centre the importance of the railway worker, and tell those big significant stories as well.
A W.H. Smith bookstall, which started life in 1921 Waterloo, immediately creates an ambience of the Golden Age. This wreath adorned the engine which carried Queen Victoria's coffin in 1901. It is so fragile, it has never been on display before. And the stories of the Windrush generation are also celebrated now.
We didn't quite know what to expect with it, but we'd seen a few photographs, but yeah, really amazing place. The carriages are just spectacular.
All in all, it's fantastic. I can't believe of how much work has been put into to do all this, you see. And it's just absolutely marvellous.
It's always said in those days you would never get an overweight fireman because of the way they're shoveling coal.
This is Rob, a retired history teacher who's been volunteering here since the very first day the museum opened.
I always love coming in here because you come in amongst the engines which have been part of my life, and obviously a lot of the engines that are now museum pieces I remember very well when they were operating in their proper life in the steam era, so there's a lot of nostalgia.
Do you have a favourite engine? Do you see them as old friends?
Well, I've often said to people I'm promiscuous with railway engines. I love them all, really. They're all wonderful.
This museum wouldn't function without its 150 volunteers, like Eric, who drives the miniature railway. That's also been closed for 2 years.
It's been running for many years, the circuit, and it really needed a refresh, and I think the team here have really put a lot of effort into making it look 21st century, so it's absolutely great.
Much of the renovation millions have been spent on a new roof and windows to ensure that the treasures housed here are protected and showcased for the next half century. The museum's birthday will be celebrated all weekend with special events.
We've got behind the scenes tours, we've got talks, curator picks, we've got meet and object type events, we've got lots of family activities, cab access, so you can get into some of the rail vehicles that you might not have been able to get into before. Of course, seeing Station Hall for the first time for lots of people. Some behind the scenes archive tours and conservation spaces will be open as well. So expect a bit of a party atmosphere.
In 5 decades, 40 million people have visited this museum, and engines which were once state-of-the-art have become museum pieces. Visitors who came here as eager children have become seasoned enthusiasts. So perhaps this weekend, the next generation will be inspired too.
Thank you very much, Olivia. I'm not jealous at all. That looks like absolutely fantastic. I'm sure the NRM will be really busy this weekend. So, Paul, you'll be getting your notebook out and joining the Railway 200 celebrations,
well,
won't
I might
you?
be, yes. I was brought up overlooking the Keighley Worth Valley Railway.
No, were you?
This has been your type of programme, hasn't it, Tom?
Absolutely.
I have never seen him looking... Are you going to be sat on your miniature tomorrow?
I am going out taking my miniature railway loco out tomorrow, yes. Why not? Why not?
Absolutely fantastic. Right, let me show you a couple of pictures. First of all, a reminder that, of course, we had that big rise in reservoir levels at the weekend. That's Ecup. It provides water for Leeds.
Hang on, sorry,
very depleted.
You can't bother me about train spotting and give us more reservoir stats.
Well,
it's the third time this week.
We love reservoir analyses. We'll do it every day next week as well. And this is a beauty. Just a little bit of a hint of autumn there. That's Ragged Stratus, if you're interested, Tom. That's up at Home Moss. Beautiful picture there. Keep the pictures coming in. Reservoir pictures are gratefully received. Addresses were on your screen, but they've skipped on. Tomorrow then, sunny spells. It will cloud over from the west, but stay largely dry, I think, until tomorrow evening and tomorrow night. It's not looking too bad a weekend. This weather front, if timings remain the same, will bring the rain Saturday evening and Saturday night and should be out of the way for first light Sunday morning. So Sunday looks a nice day. And, of course, October begins, I think, Wednesday next week. Much of next week is looking fine and settled too. Now, after that glorious start, we did right on cue see that cloud moving in that I told you about last night. So it's overcast this evening, and I think much of tonight will be cloudy, maybe the odd spot of rain. Otherwise, it's dry, and later we should begin to see some breaks coming up from the south, and lowest temperatures, generally speaking, around 8 or 9 degrees. So tomorrow's high water times in Scarborough 7:50 and Bridlington at 9 minutes past 8. So not a bad morning, dry and bright, variable cloud. There will be some sunshine around. I think slowly it will tend to cloud over, certainly through the afternoon. Might be the odd shower, but most of us will stay dry until tomorrow evening and tomorrow night. And not bad temperatures, 16 or 17 degrees. Some rain to come Saturday night. Sunday looks dry with some sunshine, and then as we head into October, that's not bad, is it? 18 degrees on the first day of October. That's the forecast.
Very nice and gorgeous colours to look forward to
Indeed.
as well, of course. Paul, thank you very much indeed. And with that, we shunt another week of Look North into the sidings. From your boys in grey, thank you very much indeed for your company. We shall be back for your late night turn down service at 10:30. See you then. Bye-bye.